Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters, a special edition tonight. We're going to take a look, as we advertised, at some of the politics that the Newcastle United fans have been drawn into, the geopolitics and the international relations, financial fair play, the makeup of this takeover bid, and I suppose as well whether Henry Mauriss bid is genuine. So many questions, only an hour to cover it all. So we've got a special panel on tonight, a familiar face and two new faces to you on this show. First of all, I'm going to introduce somebody who has really sprung to fame because of his own YouTube program, Twitter account, and that is Alwaleed, who does a sports show about Newcastle United, but in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So, good evening, Alwaleed. How are you?
I'm fine. How are the lads?
Very good, very good. I think you made a big impression in Newcastle, Alwaleed.
That's very nice to hear.
Yeah, physical therapy for the National Guard Hospital in Riyadh and the Saudi wheelchair basketball national team is what you do across there. Let me ask you first, Alwaleed. What are your feelings on the takeover so far, and just in general about this takeover?
In beginning, it's an honor to be with you, Mr. Steve, and your guest, gentlemen. Mitch, always a pleasure, and Christopher, nice to meet you. Actually, we were thrilled very much since we hear PIF decide to invest in Premier League in one of the oldest teams like Newcastle. We are a huge fan of the legend Alan Shearer, and I still remember the game between Saudi Arabia and England, '98. Alan Shearer back then played against our legend of Al Hilal club, Sami Al Jabir. We consider him as Alan Shearer of Saudi Arabia. There is about 30 million Saudi are excited about the takeover and can't wait to be officially announced.
How did you become a United fan, Alwaleed?
I will come to that because we have a huge base of fans supporting the Premier League in Saudi Arabia since very long time, back in 80s also. We support the Premier League clubs like it's really we are from there, like originally from these cities of the clubs. We have fan base of Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City, Man United, and hopefully, inshallah, we'll have association or committee for Newcastle, and definitely I will be there. It's actually the long talk takeover. It was an unplanned opportunity for us to know more about the club and their ambitions, about also the history. And to be honest, I have confession to make, if you allow me.
Yeah.
Actually, I am a Manchester United fan since '98.
Right. Okay.
But as I mentioned, because we love Shearer, Alan Shearer, I know Newcastle since maybe I have highlight from his Champions League against Juventus in 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, back then, it was maybe first game I saw for Newcastle. And because I love the player, I support Newcastle since that time.
Okay, well, you've made the right choice, Alwaleed, and we'll forgive you for being a Manchester United fan in those days.
I hope, because I'm still planning to go to Newcastle, so I don't want them to hate me.
We've got a better nightlife. We've got a better colour strip. We are the only United, and you've certainly made the right choice now. But listen, thanks for coming on, and I'm sure you will get inundated with questions tonight. I'm going to introduce our next guest. Christopher, sorry, and Christopher's had quite a varied life. You might have seen him. He's appeared on one or two of our shows just to pass a comment as a guest on a Friday night. His background is like an A to Z of various careers: a doctoral researcher in law, a former diplomat, international development project manager, and journalist. So essentially, he's covered all bases. Chris, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you, mate. We've got you on really just to try and give us some kind of idea as to what is exactly going on with the geopolitics in this deal. I've got to be honest, I'm quite ignorant to the whole situation before this takeover deal happened, and the stuff that we hear about the political fallout between Saudi and Qatar, and this is happening, so they're not happy. This is happening, so they're not happy. I'm a Newcastle United fan who lives in the area, who just wants to see Mike Ashley out of the club and wants to see the PIF, PCP, and the Reuben brothers take over my football club and give me my hope back and give me my football club back. That's all I want. So, the geopolitics shouldn't really bother me. What is it all about, Chris? And I know you can't do that quickly. So, tell us in a nutshell what it's all about.
Okay, in a nutshell, all these modern nations, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, these are all nations that began as tribes in the Arabian desert. So essentially, Qatar and Saudi began with two families in the Arabian desert, and the Qataris moved from the Arabian desert into what's now Doha in the 1700s, essentially. So they've been there for the last couple hundred years, and they themselves dislodged the royal family that's now in Bahrain. So they kicked the Bahrain royal family out to Bahrain and took over in Doha. And ever since then, they've tried to kind of chart their own path, while the Saudis have kind of organized with the UAE, Bahrain, Egypt, other nations in the Middle East and the Gulf. The Qataris have always kind of trying to go their own way. And while Saudi Arabia modernized and sees its state as secular, military, that kind of thing, Qatar has been more interested in doing alliances with what you might call political Islam, Islamists, the Muslim Brotherhood you might have heard of. And so the Qataris have sort of irked the ire of some of the other countries, Saudis and UAE, the Abu Dhabi and Dubai, by playing around with these groups that the Saudis or other guys might think are a threat to them, whereas for the Qataris, they've seen them as an opportunity. So it's really a question of threats versus opportunities. You go back to the Arab Spring in 2011, you really saw the Qataris were supporting Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, Syria, and other places, whereas the Saudis and the other Gulf monarchies were seeing this uprising as a threat to them, and so did not want to support sort of political Islam. So now you have, since 2017, the Saudis have led a boycott to cut off Qatar because they see them as playing around with Al Qaeda, playing around with Iran, and they want to draw a line in the sand and say, we don't deal with any of these sort of threats to our regime. And so because of the Saudis' clout, they've been able to have UAE and Bahrain behind them. And a key relationship that's enduring now is with the ruler of the UAE and the Crown Prince, sort of a mentor to Crown Prince bin Salman. And that relationship has really shaped sort of his awakening and sort of interest in getting into football and having Newcastle as a club is really a direct sort of outspringing of his relationship with the leader of the UAE.
Okay, a great job, mate. I understand it a bit more, and Mitch, to be fair, has been telling me a lot about it. Mitch, good evening. Good to see you, mate.
And you, mate, how are you doing?
Very good, mate. Very good. You don't really need an introduction. The Geordie Dentist, of course, who we work together each week now on a Friday night, and still can't believe the audiences we're getting, but we're over the moon that
It's
people.
touching, isn't it?
Yeah, me and Steve Hasty talk about it. It's great, mate. So welcome on. Doug Hall, we'll go straight in with a question for you, Mitch. Hi, guys. Can you explain for dummies what tomorrow's DBS meeting about Qatar BN leaking the WTO report and what that would mean for the report and the takeover?
Right. Well, obviously, firstly, to Alwaleed and to anybody else watching who's observing the holiday, I wish everybody a blessed Eid Mubarak for tomorrow. We're going to the Eid al-Adha, and so we got 4 days off, which is fantastic for the first time in a while. I'll actually get myself. So when I join you on Friday, I'll be in a different Emirate, so that should be a bit different. And if anybody wants proof that I am actually a dentist, I am actually at work still. The meeting tomorrow, I mean, effectively, we've had a discussion today at WTO, which basically, effectively, they've said they can't rule on an appeal because it's void. So the meeting tomorrow about leaks and things could actually flip the whole picture, whereby the WTO report was perceived as a bad thing. We could see it being turned on its head by finger pointing about leaks from the Qatar side of things. And this is something that's gone on throughout the entire saga that we've talked about every week, about where people are getting the information from and the people reporting it, what's their agenda and why do they have that agenda. And this is all part of the geopolitics that we've been trying to warn people about. I mean, I'm by no means an expert. I've been out here, 9 years now, Steve, coming on. Yeah. And it's, once you're immersed in the region, you get to understand it much, much more easily about how it works. I just need to read an article or see a report and tell you which angle it's coming from, and then I can tell you who's written it just about. It's crazy. And so it'll be interesting to see the two sides of the spin that comes out of that meeting tomorrow. But I actually think it could turn out to be quite a positive thing for the takeover. I don't know what you think, Chris.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that the WTO is not going to be any final decision about anything. It's really only there to advise the different countries to go into arbitration if they have to. So it's really, if you're looking for sort of to read the tea leaves for a solution to the piracy or to the takeover, I don't think that comes tomorrow or anything out of the WTO. The process is still going to be, with the Premier League, with the Saudis, possibly involving BN and Qatar.
Is there an indication that the Saudi, deal side of things is being held up with the Manchester United issue? I mean, Manchester United have a sponsorship deal which I believe is going to expire on the 31st of July. So will that help? Will that help the process?
Been a long-standing sponsorship with Saudi Telecom. I think it's one of the longest-standing Man United sponsorships have. And I think because there's the use of the crest, and I think they show MUTV and they do other deals. There's a lot of football-type deals like that across the region. My bank tried to offer me a Man United credit card. I told them where to shove it. And so there's a lot of long-standing deals like that out there. And certainly there would be something about the ownership and use of a trademark of another club if you happen to own a different club. And again, this gets complex legally to split it up. Now, my understanding is that there's a deal being done which allows them to take to keep certain things like broadcasting MUTV in the channel and what have you, and then but also separate the sponsorship and the association with Man United.
Okay. Alwaleed, I don't know whether you can answer this question. What are the Saudi citizens going to do for the Premier League? Obviously we've seen a lot about piracy. I know we're not going to get into the politics of that, but what's going to happen across there for that kind of situation to watch the Premier League games?
I'm not going to say more than what about the report of WTO regarding the piracy.
Yeah. I mean, can you watch the game still out in Saudi Arabia?
Actually, I'm not really sure. Let's say the next season, maybe in the you have like by internet.
Yeah. Okay.
There is maybe some contract, and I'm not really sure, but I will find a way to watch the game, a legal way to watch the game.
Very good. That's what we wanted to hear. That was the right answer. And the other question I'm going to have for you, Alwaleed, is have you noticed a change amongst the Saudi Arabian football fans? I mean, are there more Newcastle United fans out there now, without the takeover going through?
Actually, as I mentioned, we have a huge fan base for Premier League in general.
Mm-hmm.
The big teams are, Manchester United, Manchester City, lately, Arsenal, Chelsea. We have like communities. We watch the game together. There is the meetings, and hopefully, inshallah, Newcastle, I will be involved in that if after the takeover announced.
Inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah indeed. Stuart Penman sent a question in. This one's for you, Mitch, and for Chris. He says, hi, I'm sure you'll be inundated with questions for tonight's show, but if you can squeeze this one into the panel, it would be greatly appreciated. Living and doing business in the region, i.e. Saudi Arabia, I know how PIF have been treated, and they would normally have been deemed offensive the way that they've been treated, and they would walk away under normal circumstances. However, for the life of me, I can't ever see them backing down or losing face to Qatar, which convinces me we will have Saudi owners. So a simple question from Stuart is, do you agree with him? Do you think the Saudi Arabian PIF fund will stand their ground and make sure that this deal gets through? Chris,
Right.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they'll go to the ends of the earth, exhaust all options, appeals, lawsuits, anything to get their hands on the club. And it's about, we've talked about this before, about saving face, about everything. Everyone wants to be the biggest, the best. It would be something for them to say that we are the richest football club in the world, even though we haven't won trophies since the 50s. There's a point of pride to make Newcastle the biggest, the best, the big dog or the big man in the region.
Yeah, Mitch, same question to you.
I mean, obviously, I know Stu very, very well. He's a very good friend of mine. He was here in Dubai for years. He's now in Bahrain. He's certainly dealt with many Saudis many times. And the point he makes is quite fair. And in fact, if you take it back to the Bin Zayed group discussion we had a few weeks ago, it was that taking offence that absolutely upset Sheikh Khaled. And he walked away from that because the non-refundable deposit side of things, he felt that was the final insult of a number of insults. And that was it. Closed the book and walked away. This is different. This is because Bin Zayed group were doing it on their own. There was no competition. There was nobody in the background. And there was certainly no geopolitical consequences. If they turn around and walk away now, that looks like Qatar's won. And that ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. That's not how, it works here. To walk away from a deal like that is not a good thing. They'll want to win, and they'll want to win at all costs and feel like they're walking away with a win. So I just don't see it happening there.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, Alwaleed, we're getting inundated with questions for you, my friend. Danielle says she wants to buy you a black and white scarf. We've also had a question from Paul Oxley to say, is Alwaleed going to step in and buy Newcastle United if this takeover doesn't go through? So would you like the scarf off Danielle? And also, have you got the money to buy the club if this doesn't go through?
Regarding the shirt, actually, I was looking for Newcastle shirts in our sport shops, but I didn't find, unfortunately. I ordered by Amazon UK, and until now I didn't receive it. Okay. Always there is a delay, I don't know why, and I hope to wear it soon in my show.
Haram.
Yes, so did you order it from Newcastle United?
Regarding the second question, can you repeat it, please?
Yes. Have you got the money to buy Newcastle United?
Shirt, yeah.
No, the club. Brilliant. Next questions. Oh no, where we go, John? Yeah, great to see global fans like Alwaleed. Welcome to the Madhouse. So there's lots of positivity for you.
Majnoon.
Sam was asking if Mitch was in the pub, but no, he's at work.
No, I'm at work, and this is coffee.
And that's
and I couldn't be in the pub. It's a dry night tonight.
Yes. Barry Hogan says the best day today is that his Blue Star shirt has arrived. Of course, Lee Clark's up there now, and Mitch was advertising this, and you've done him a really massive favour. The shirt sales have gone through the roof. Jason says Alwaleed, once you visit St James's Park, you will never want to go back to Old Trafford again. He's already been.
Yeah, it's my plan. First thing I will do when I visit Newcastle, I will visit, of course, the St James Park.
Yeah. Life Goals says that you're a very articulate and likable fellow. He's one of the new generation of Saudi people, ambitious, smart, kind, and youthful.
Yeah, that's so nice from you. Thanks.
And I'm glad he said that, because me and you have been compared. So if a lot of people have said that me and you were the same person, Alwaleed. So you look.
Maybe next time you will wear ghutra next time.
I'll have to get one, I think.
I will send one for you.
Yeah, a lot. Honestly, the comments are just all about you, Alwaleed. We're struggling to find questions. Alan White says, Masters keeps saying no comment on everything, so how do we all know these journalists get the information there right? Chris, as a former journalist, yes, one of your many jobs, I don't know whether you saw Liam Kennedy on last night from the Shields Gazette. Yeah. He spoke really well, as usual, about sources and what you do, and we had to bat a few questions off about Luke Edwards. People know my views on Luke. I like him. He's a great journalist. I disagree with his opinions, but that's life. And what's your views on that? Because it's NDAs, isn't it? I think.
Yes, I mean, I just want to say, journalism would not be. There wouldn't be any stories of intrigue out there or breaking news if there weren't anonymous sources being, willing to give inside information that's not public, even under NDAs. So all those people out there who will say, oh, if there's no name attached to a quote or to a thought, that means it's made up or fake or there's an agenda. Of course, at the same time, yes, there is sometimes an agenda to anonymous leaks, and you always have to sort of consider who benefits from an anonymous quote or anonymous leak, but not just to dismiss it out of hand, saying if there's not a name or quotations attached to it, then it must be made up. So I would say that obviously Luke's got a lot of grief from sort of going against the grain of all positive reports or saying maybe he has an agenda against Newcastle. I would give him a little credit and say they're working their sources. This is, the Premier League is never going to say anything other than it's a confidential process. So if there is pressure or whatever from the MPs or other places, and there is sort of movement from the buyers or sellers, that information is going to come out anonymously from sources. And not everyone has the greatest sources, and of course there is agenda sometimes. But I would say that some of the national journalists or the local journalists do have good sources, and they're trying not to report sensational stuff or to only tweet when they have news and to respond to all their mentions about are you confident, what's imminent, all these kind of things. So I would just say give the journalists a little bit of slack here. Obviously, we're not going to name some of the journalists that we think have an outright agenda against us, but for the most part, the journalists are really trying to earn a living, break some news where there's not a lot of public information going on, and so just be a little kinder, I would say, especially on Twitter.
Yeah, fair enough, Chris. That's a good point. And the abuse that Luke Edwards has had on Twitter is completely unacceptable, and nobody would endorse that. I'm a victim of it. Mitch has been a victim of it. I'm sure you guys get a bit as well. And there's no call for that. So those people should hang their heads in shame. 500 people watching, guys, which is a massive testament to your credibility, I think, on this subject, which is great. Can I ask everybody, I know there's a few people already said it, please click the like button, just click the thumbs up. It's good for us, guys. We're all doing this free of charge and helping each other out and, trying to help you guys out. But if you click it, we will get a wider audience, and it's massively beneficial if we need to get more messages out there. Jasmine's got a question for you, Alwaleed, on there. Did Richard, we all saw the video, you left a few messages with Richard Masters' answer machine at the Premier League. Did he call you straight back?
Actually, I left maybe around 100 best days.
Yeah. 100?
Yeah. I tried to get his extension number. I don't know if I don't know why. If you allow me to, I have a question for Richard Master. If you allow me to ask him.
Yes, yeah. Go on.
Why he and Premier League doesn't care about Newcastle fans? This has really been taking so long time. The transfer window just opened. This will affect the plan for next year, for the next season.
Yalla Imshi would say to Richard Masters.
Yeah, and there's nothing more I can say to that, but all I would say is, yeah.
That just means, come on, move your feet, make a, let's go.
Yeah, they have no excuse. The season finished. They have to start to do something. At least some time scale, as the Parliament member Osborne mentioned. It should be at least a time scale.
Yeah. Phil Sharp is asking what the press coverage is like in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Are you seeing much in the newspapers out there? What is the stuff in the newspapers like about the takeover? Are people?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Across in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, are the journalists positive about the takeover?
Yes, positive.
Yeah.
Just matter, we believe it's just matter of time because we trust PIF.
Inshallah.
Okay. Question for you, Mitch. Does Mitch the dentist know any manicurists? And if so, do they fight tooth and nail?
Oh, genius.
Stephen Johnson just says, hi, lads, this takeover is dragging on a bit. Andrew Gibbons says, I always thought Qatar would need to restore relations with the rest of the GCC ahead of the WC, the World Cup 2022, for logistical reasons and to widen the fan base. What do you all think? Mitch, to you first.
I have to say that has been my opinion for a while. I can't see logistically how Qatar can handle the amount of people coming in for the tournament without the help of other people in the GCC. And I did think that would be a way to soften relations a little, because this is one of the things where sport can be positive in terms of political relationships. Yes, it can be used as a tool, but it can also be used as something to build relationships. And there's going to be a heck of a lot of people flying into this region, and they're going to want to stay in Dubai. They're going to want to stay in Abu Dhabi. They're going to want to stay, if they've got the Red Sea resort up and running in Saudi, they're going to want to stay there. But then to get to Qatar now, if I wanted to get to Qatar from here in Dubai, it used to be a 40-minute short hop. It's now an 8-hour trip via Oman or via Kuwait. And that's the only way I can get there. And there's people are struggling to do business that way. And it's had a big effect on business in the region both ways. Not just in Qatar's isolation, but also in people who've got sites in both places, for example. I've got one patient who used to regularly just hop to Qatar at the drop of a hat. Now, everything has to be planned. And similarly for World Cup supporters getting into Qatar from other parts of the region, that's going to be a pain in the butt. And airlines being airlines and the way things are with airlines at the minute, it's going to cost them a bloody fortune as well. And so it's going to put some people off.
Yeah, and this is another source of international arbitration. Of course, there's an international airlines organization which settles disputes, and the issue is that, to say it explicitly, that you're not allowed to use Saudi airspace, Bahrain airspace, any airspace outside of Qatar to get into Qatar. So that's why it takes 8 hours for Mitch to get to Qatar from Dubai.
Okay, Katie, she asks a question for you, Alwaleed. She says, is there the same high level of frustration that we feel over here in Saudi Arabia due to how long this takeover is taking to be finalized? Are the people of Saudi frustrated?
Actually, for me, I can speak for myself. Every day since the news about PIF proceeding and takeover, I check my mobile every day. I check the internet every day, first thing in the morning, to check about the news. So it's really frustrated. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, of course, Tom Dixon.
Yeah, because it's really sometimes I become busy in the morning and I just check if something happened. But we always get depressed when the week is ending without any positive news.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, Steve. This is where we come from. You know, we say when we talk to people and they're positive and they're upbeat, and they still are in general. But in the last couple of weeks is the first time I've felt a little bit of frustration too. And my question is again, knowing how people do business in this region, is when is that frustration going to turn into pushback? Because it's going to at some stage. It's going to. And if, in my opinion, it should have already happened. And I think that'll be the fascinating thing, that if this goes on another month, say, that this is what the change you could see coming, then that'll get very interesting.
Chris, question there. We'll start with you from Jay Roundtree. If the Premier League rejected the deal due to things not covered in the O&D's test, the owner and directors test, which hopefully they don't, what do you think the chances of winning the subsequent appeal from PIF and PCB would be?
It's a tricky question. You know, it really depends on what the makeup of the appeal board is, and they really have to show where the Premier League in their original ruling made a substantive error. It's kind of like we have the frustration with replay and Premier League now. They'd have to go back and to show that there was really like a great error in the way that that the Premier League deliberated, and I wouldn't be confident that that they would win an appeal. But then, of course, there's, as we've seen with Man City and their appears to the World Sport Arbitration. There are courts outside of the Premier League deliberations that they can go to, and I would say it would be more likely to end up in courts than to be turned over on appeal with the Premier League. But that's why I think essentially, I want to say bottom line, I think that the Premier League has given them kind of a soft no, and they haven't outright rejected it, but they said up until this point, given what we have, we would reject it. But the hope is that they're working with Newcastle, working with the buyers and sellers to see this deal through. People will say, yes, you know, if it was so bad, they could have just rejected it straight away. But the Premier League sees that there's significant investment opportunities from Saudi. People will say in the end, money wins. And I would just say that the Premier League is sort of, give them a little credit. We want to say make a decision, but people, again, there was an article yesterday saying we don't want any decision. We want a positive decision. So give the Premier League a little credit for working for 4 months with the buyers and sellers to iron out all of the bumps and to really find a solution that wins for all. Mitch has said before that there's a solution where everyone comes away a winner, including
I don't believe the Premier League will gonna reject the deal. We didn't wait 4 months, and after 4 months they just say no. I don't think this will happen. I think they will approve it soon.
Yeah, me too. I've got to say they've given us a long wait, but the wait, I still think will be worth it. So
it's too late to say no.
Too late, yeah, 100%, 100%, yeah.
Like we've said before, Steve, that if they'd found something that would absolutely outright reject it, would have done it ages ago.
Yeah.
And I think the position I've been suggested that's it is that they don't have enough grounds to say a flat no and be legally sound on that they'd be wide open to challenge on it, but they don't feel like they've got enough information to say yes and be not legally challenged on it. And so I think this is this strange position that we're in, but it comes a time where that has to turn into a decision, whichever way they feel they want to go. And as Alwaleed quite rightly says, we've gone 4 months down the line here, and I can't see it being a no at the end of that. It just can't.
Yeah, and questions still flying in for you, Alwaleed. Are there any Saudi Arabian footballers who you would like to see come to Newcastle if when the deal goes through?
Of course, right now or in the future. In the future, I hope my son will be in Newcastle.
Inshallah.
Yeah, good. Right now, for me, I think there is one player is ready to be in Premier League. His name is Salim Al-Dosari. He's from Al Hilal. He's the number 10 in Saudi Arabia national team. I believe he can fit in any team in Newcastle in Premier League. Okay, good stuff. Wilfred, we'll let you have a question as well. He says, who do you prefer, Alwaleed, Rafa Benitez, or Steve Bruce?
Yeah, this is a good question, if you allow me to answer. I noticed lately a lot of comparing news about Rafa, which better, Rafa or Mr. Steve Bruce. For me, I think it's difficult for any coach, and it's difficult for Mr. Bruce that he came after Rafa. I believe Mr. Bruce, I know Rafa since long time. I expect Mr. Bruce. I watched the season. This season, I think he have more to give Newcastle, but he just need more players with high quality. I believe, like we hear in the news, like Coutinho, if he join Newcastle, I believe he will do better with the team. I wish if he stay at least after the takeover. I wish if he can stay for 1 year more at least. Bring him the player he asked for. I think he will do great job.
Okay.
Yeah, for Rafa, I don't think now he will leave China. It's going to be difficult for him to leave China.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Jack Chater says, do you think the Saudi telecom sponsorship deal with Man United could be relevant to our takeover? We asked it at the top of the program. I think I mentioned it, but Chris, Neil, just to confirm, do you think this is are we setting ourselves up for another pitfall of a date which we're going to be let down on, or is this relevant? Yes, Neil?
Pinning a date on that would be, you can't pin a date on it from that. Is it relevant? There's certainly been something in it. It's been discussed. We discussed that at the top of the program. I don't think it's the thing that's stopping them saying yes, though.
Okay, that's fine. Chris, how long have you supported the Toon, and what made you support the club? He asks.
I've been supporting the Toon as long as there's been a Premier League. In the US, it was impossible, pretty hard to watch Premier League matches from the beginning or first division before that. But certainly when Newcastle spent a couple of years in the old second division or third division, second division, there wasn't an opportunity to watch Newcastle. But basically, ever since they've been televised in the US, there used to be a great Friday night sort of recap show, kind of the U.S. version of Match of the Day, except it was from the previous week's matches. And I just remember staying up to watch that. And then obviously I was a follower of Alan Shearer, and so when he came over from Blackburn, come home to Newcastle, I got my Shearer strip from my oldest Newcastle jersey is from Shearer's first year. So before that, I started supporting.
Okay, a lot of people asking you to speak Geordie, Alwaleed. You did at the top of the show. Is that something you've been practicing?
No, actually, just a few words. I just read. Sometimes I read words in Twitter and I go check it because I didn't get it. Like a word, Mackems. I think Mackems. It's a Sunderland. He's a Sunderland.
Yes,
supporter.
Correct.
Yeah, cans. Yeah,
Cans.
Cans. Yeah, I have a beer. I save it for later after the takeover. I will drink it. And also canny, or the word canny.
Canny, brilliant.
Canny. Yeah. And also, I read also ASM. People think ASM is a word, but I think it's short for Alan Saint Maximin.
Yes.
That's
right.
Yeah, I have a few words, but now it's not in my. If you give us Howie the lads, Howie the lads, yeah. And I think if you give us a few weeks more, we'll start. You will not mistaken us from Georges.
Very good. I like it.
You can teach the Geordies some Arabic too.
Yes.
Go both ways.
Inshallah. I think that's what everybody knows. Steve Bennett says, when the takeover goes through, who does Alwaleed think that the shirt sponsor will be? Any thoughts on that? Sponsorship moving forward? Are there big companies in Saudi? I mean, this is a question to all of you, but we'll start with Alwaleed. Is there a company who you think would be befitting of Newcastle's shirt?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Saudi companies. For me, they said Aramco, Saudi Airline. For me, it's no much different. But I saw some some fans design some shirts, how it will be after the takeover. For me, maybe I prefer Saudi Airlines because I like to fly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Mitch?
Well, it could be two good strong ones. You've also got the NEOM project could be brought in because obviously they want to start to promote tourism in Saudi, and so the Saudi Tourism Board could be another option as well. There's lots of different ways, but you also remember we've got front shirt sponsorship. These days we've got sleeve sponsorships. You can have sponsorships of your training kit. There's loads of opportunities to do different sponsorships with different Saudi companies, and perfectly legally. You don't have to do a Man City with it, as long as you keep the numbers within what would be an accepted boundaries. There's lots of opportunities there for Saudi companies to get their name splashed everywhere and to boost the spending power in Newcastle United. Yeah,
and you, Chris, same question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know all of the. Obviously, Saudi Aramco is one of the largest, companies in the world. If it was publicly traded, it is privately owned by the Saudi state. But I would probably expect Saudi Aramco or one of the Saudi Aramco's subsidiaries to boost the profile of that. So, yeah, basically.
Okay. 15 minutes left, guys. We'll try and get through a few more questions. Going back to Company's House, it showed that Mike Ashley was going to loan money to Amanda to buy the club. Will this mean the club could be purchased in a couple of hours rather than days? Spenny Mag says, is that right?
No. No. I mean, so basically, this is it's a £300 million transaction. That's not like going to the cash machine and withdrawing £40 or sending £40 to your mate for a stag do or something. I mean, so what they set up is Amanda Stavely, PCP have set up a holding company. I believe it's called NC UK, and then they'll they will transfer the money from NC UK into Mike Ashley's holding companies. Of course, there's three companies between Mike Ashley and Newcastle, so it doesn't just go straight into Mike Ashley's pocket. It'll go to I think St. James's Holdings, and then to eventually end up in Mike Ashley's account. But it should take a week or so. But I would expect that once the Premier League gives approval and all that's left is the transfer, the approval will leak out, and so that the transfer will be just a formality. I mean, I think you'll be able to open up your cans when the initial word leaks out, because there shouldn't be any issues with the transfer of funds. But it would be probably a week or so for the funds to settle on Mike Ashley's account, and then we'll see the back of Mike Ashley.
Okay, great stuff. Dominic O says, Alwaleed, question to you. What would you say the PIF's interest in Newcastle is in the first place? Why Newcastle is the question.
Well, there is so many answers for that, but I believe Newcastle, one of the oldest, have a great history club. Also, I think when I prepare for my show, I read more about Newcastle history. I found the club have a great history. And when we see like close to 100 years ago, they won the Premier League at the time. Yeah, they call it First Division, I think. First Division at the time. And then last year, I remember 1927, last Premier League of Newcastle. So I think it's interesting to make this club back to the future, back to the glory he deserved. For me, I will not be, if I buy, let's say example here, I'm just saying, if we have like, for example, Manchester United or Arsenal, they are with no much difference. If we, I think if we win trophies, and it would be very normal. But with Newcastle, it's going to be very interested to bring a historical team to come back to the trophies, Champion Leagues, Premier Leagues after 100 years. It's going to be very interested. Also, as I mentioned, we like legend like Alan Shearer, Michael Owen as well.
Ooh,
for us, we consider him as a legend.
Okay, but he wasn't much of a legend at Newcastle. United, but we've pushed that to one side. Derek Edwards says, is there any truth in the rumours that the exclusivity has expired for the PIF bid? Mitch?
Look, it's simple. The exclusivity period is about tying the deal up. And the deal was tied up the minute it was sent to the Premier League. So then exclusivity is up then, because the deal's done and the deal is settled and the deal is agreed and everything's signed, So the exclusivity thing is a red herring that people use to scare with, to get with biting, to get the clicks. Because the exclusivity is a red herring in this situation. The only time they can talk to anybody else is if the Premier League would turn around and say, right, reject it, bang. That's when you can talk to somebody else. Right now, nothing can happen. An exclusivity ended 4 months ago when the deal was sent to the Premier League, effectively.
Yeah, Chris, did you have something to say on that?
No, I totally agree with what Mitch said. I mean, Mike Ashley can talk to all the Maurices that he wants to, but he's signed and delivered the deal, and it's out of his hands until the Premier League rules. And certainly the Premier League will not do 2 owners and directors tests before they've ruled out the first one.
Yeah, Mark's question about has anyone heard of any names? The answer's got to be no, other than what we've seen in the media, because of course it's a private process. There's NDAs signed. There's rumors. There's plenty of rumors, guys, isn't there? But there's no definitive names that we'd be able to announce.
They have to publicly disclose that on the Company's House. And so as of now on Company's House, you've got Yasser Ramayan and his COO from PIF. You've got Jamie Rubin, who's the son of the Rubins, and Amanda Stavely. So the Saudis would control, I think, 3 out of the 5 board seats. And so that, if you want to talk about this does open up the idea that there are going to be another reason why it's taking so long. I just want to dispel this rumor or the story that says that it's been 16 weeks and we still don't know who's going to control Newcastle. These people have been disclosed, but it's really about Mohammed bin Salman and how much influence does he have as the head of the Saudi state. How much influence would he have to influence what is essentially an independent entity, PIF, or which he also chairs, and then through that to Newcastle. So I
tell you the thing, Chris, that gets me about this, and it's been on my mind since the weekend, and I've not had it. This is the first chance I've had to vocalise it, so bear with us.
Yes,
the owner of Sheffield United. If Mohammed bin Salman picked up the phone and said to him, "Do X, Y, Z," do you think he'd do it? Because I think he would.
Yeah, I mean that's something they have to look at, and so they're part of the holdup is that they're being asked, how do you prove a negative? How do you prove that he won't have influence? So it's not I think it goes down to like the different levels of proof. You can't prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's not going to have influence. But let's say the preponderance of the evidence, more like a civil level of proof versus a criminal level of proof, that you can say on balance, we were satisfied that he's going to be, probably, obviously, God willing that we don't have a change in leadership, but he's going to be the king, and within 10 years, let's say. So obviously, there's no other football club where the absolute leader of the country is the owner. I mean, for Man City, it's the brother of the crown of the emir. So there is some plausible distance within the family. But if Newcastle is acquired by PIF. Sometime during the leadership, not the de facto leader, but the leader of the country will be, nominally the head of the club. So they really have to sort out how much influence he has now or is going to have. And then really is Amanda Stavely, they say, will be the day-to-day runner of the club. I saw a report that said that she's the only one that's based in the UK. She lives in the Middle East. So, is there going to be someone who's going to be the top person, who is going to have the executive office at St. James's Park? That has to be sorted out. But it looks like Amanda Stavely is angling to be kind of the managing director, the person who is the point person. So, she has to be looked at as well. And people will ask, what is the effect of her Barclays case? I don't think that I don't see them waiting to the resolution for Barclays case before they decide about the takeover. But so hopefully sometime before her court case ends in the fall, we'll have a resolution. But if you wanted me to ask how long it's going to go, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't have a resolution before the January transfer window.
Only got 5-6 minutes left, lads. Sorry for everyone. We're inundated with questions tonight. I'm trying to pick out the ones, which are a bit of variety. Chris, can you tell us anything about Mauriss? Well, Mitch and Chris,
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about Mauriss?
I'll tell you the stuff. Go on, Chris.
No, I was going to say for somebody that's supposedly a multimillionaire, he sure has a shady online profile for being a media tycoon. There's nothing, on the internet for him. So either he's nothing or is scrubbed some shady stuff.
Do you talking about Henry Mauriss?
Yeah.
Mauriss?
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't think. I think he's just a bargain card. I don't believe he. Yeah, I don't believe he will be a component for PIF. Just a bargain card, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be.
One thing we haven't discussed on the Friday show is that I've recently discovered a definite connection that could link Mauriss and Mike Ashley. And that's the broker involved in the deal allegedly has dealt with Mike Ashley many times before. So I know who the Mauriss broker is. And it's somebody that me and Steve Hasty have come across before in doing other bits and bobs. And there's definite links to Mike Ashley, and it just feels like we mentioned a few weeks ago, the consortium that suddenly appeared once who the head of the consortium happened to be Derek Lambias, So I think that's and the other thing about Mauriss is if his TV company's founded apparently on airport-based TV stuff, well, that must be taking a hiding at the moment.
And hospital.
So exactly. I mean, that must be taking an absolute hiding at the moment. So again, it raises every time we dig on Henry Mauriss, there's far more questions I come out with than answers. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Question here: do you think Ashley will be having dialogue with PIF, Amanda Staveley, and the Rubens?
No, he's
No.
he's on the beach in South Beach or wherever.
He's
Miami.
washed his hands of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. According to Tom, it's on BBC One now about the takeover. So I'm sure I'm sure this will run and run. Stu says, will the proposed new owners be kept in the loop this summer to make sure that the appropriate business is being done in the close season?
They have no. They have no say. They can't give Mike Ashley a list of people that they'd want to buy or say, buy them with your money and we'll reimburse you. I don't see that happening with Mike Ashley. Some other owners have sort of done a IOU, but I don't see Mike Ashley opening up his pockets to, go and spend for Grealish or something.
Liam Kennedy says, great show, lads. Much better than last night. Yeah, Liam. Barry Hogan says, can we have Alwaleed on regularly? Because he's got such optimism like the rest of you guys. Not like the national papers, which is very nice. So you've made a big impression on here as well, Alwaleed.
Let's have the whole gang together.
Thank you. I just want to, before the show ending, I want to say, and I'm pretty sure 100% the takeover will happen. So, yeah, I assure you that.
Yes, that's great stuff. That's a great way to build up your fan base. But I strongly believe it as well. So, Paul Oxley says, Luke Edwards was on BBC and he said, I hope I've taped it. Good God, I've got rid of that video recorder last week, man. Mauriss is linked to BN. There is a thread on Twitter. Someone claims he's seen evidence of an email between Mauriss and the CEO of BN. That was reported in the Sun, which not many people buy. Jack Gator says, Mauriss wouldn't pass anyway. The bloke he's doing the deal was jailed for 4 years, apparently. And then we've just had a lot of positive comments. A lot of people saying that it's been a great show. Thanks, Pete. Final comments, and lads, I think to be honest, it is going to run and run. Chris, I'll start with you. We can't put a date on when this takeover is going to be completed. You start doing that, you get lambasted and hammered on social media, and nobody knows anyway. But if you had to go with a gut instinct here, are we looking at a few more weeks, months, or years for this takeover to go through?
My heart says weeks, my head says months, but neither my heart nor my head says that we have a rejection. It's going to be good news. Good things come to those who wait. We've waited 16 weeks. What's 20 weeks? Yes, I don't see us having new ownership by the time the new season starts, but I'm optimistic that we'll have new owners by at least the end of the transfer window.
Okay, Mitch, I'm not going to ask you to put your neck on the line, but just gut instinct, really, mate. I mean,
look, the one thing I hope tonight shows everybody is when we get accused of being overly positive and leading people on, when you interact with people like Alwaleed, how can you not feed off that positivity? As a fan base over the last 13 years, we've been trapped in this Stockholm syndrome of misery and expecting the worst, and good things don't happen to it. And we've got to start to turn that mindset. And I know this might sound a little bit khali-wali and up in the air, but I'm sorry, khalas, this has got to end. We need positivity. We need to move forward with positivity. And as a fan base, that's that positivity that will reunite us, because we need that too. Yeah. And it's with this takeover, all of this will come, and we just have to keep pushing. And I hope at PIF and at with PCP, they're ready to do a little bit of pushing now, because it's time. I think we need a little bit of pushback.
And final comment from you, Alwaleed, from Saudi Arabia. How long do you think this is going to go on? You're very positive that the deal is going to be done. What do you think?
Actually, I thought it was related to the season, but I think it doesn't matter about the game. As there is games, there is Premier League starting or ending. I think there is something hidden there, third party maybe, or some problem with Richard Master, something legally with him. So I think it's something. There is no time frame for it. So, but for me, I think it's, as I said, I assure you it's going to happen. But maybe, I'm afraid the season will start, and still we have here anything. This is going to be very tough. But I believe eventually it will happen, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's a positive end, guys, and I think everybody will be happy with that. We've given everybody some therapy. I think it would be good to get you guys on, once a week. I think we've done really well tonight, and if you're up for it, guys, it's a bit extra.
Anytime, Steve, you know that.
Totally, yeah.
It would be good, Alwaleed. It would be nice to get you back on if you're up for it next week.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to, and I wish if I can get the honor and host one of you guys in my show later, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Very good.
Very nice. Very great.
3 times a week, Mitch.
Yeah. That's the only thing that me and Mitch in our age, I'm afraid. So
I just had a quick final thought that will sort of tie everything together for Alwaleed and everything. Good trivia. We haven't won. We're a proud club. We haven't won a domestic trophy since 1955, but yet we're still in the top 7 clubs for how many trophies we've won. So we're a proud club. We have a proud tradition, great fans, and the future, inshallah, is bright.
Brilliant. Yes, go on, Alwaleed.
It's coming home, Newcastle.
Yes.
Shukran, Alwaleed.
We'll leave the final word, Alwaleed. Thanks everybody for watching. Please give it a quick like on the thumbs button. Please hit the share button and please subscribe. And we'll have the guys back on next Wednesday. So thanks a lot, guys. Good night. God bless you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Eid Mubarak.